I missed this a couple days ago, but there are some lines out for college football games coming up in the fall, and 4 of them involve LSU to this point. LSU is a 7-point favorite at home against Florida. That's a week 3 game in Baton Rouge. And I think Florida is among the more fascinating teams this year because everyone was basically on the same page with Florida last year. It was, this roster's not that talented. They've fallen behind with NIL. Billy Napier's feet are hot. That seat is hot. And it feels like this is going to be the end of it. And they found a way late in the season with DJ Lagway at quarterback to beat LSU and to beat Ole Miss. But it still wasn't some sort of monumental season. They won 8 games. So the question is, does this offseason feel like last offseason with well, the schedule's still really hard. Is Billy Napier going to make it through all that? Because you still got to play all these teams. You got to play Georgia. You got to play LSU. You got to play Ole Miss. You got to play Texas. That's a lot. You got to go play Tennessee. Can he survive all that? Is Florida State a little bit better? Can they provide some resistance in the season finale? We don't have to worry about any of that on the back end. LSU's catching Florida right up front. And DJ Lagway and that team are coming into Tiger Stadium, and it's going to be really hot. And they think LSU is a touchdown better. And I think based on the roster, that's probably fair. What changes that dynamic is if DJ Lagway takes a big jump from his freshman year where he did suffer a tough injury in the middle that can kind of stunt your development. And if he's a star and he's a potentially the best quarterback in the SEC, well, that all of a sudden gets real interesting real quick. I think most people would suggest that LSU is a touchdown better than Florida. Certainly in Tiger Stadium, you would feel that way. But Florida is a fascinating team. The next game with LSU is the September 27th game at Ole Miss, and the Tigers are a 2.5-point underdog in that game. Now, that's basically just a home field edge. Maybe a little bit less than that. Maybe LSU is a point or two better, but you give Ole Miss a 2.5-point edge based on playing that game at Vaught Hemingway instead of in Death Valley. Everybody that evaluates Ole Miss entering this season is going to do so essentially based on one drive. Like one drive. Because Jackson Dart has been the quarterback there for 2 seasons. He goes down against Georgia. Austin Simmons comes in and leads a touchdown drive against Georgia. Now, that drive was a damn clinic, but it was one drive. And now that's what everyone's looking at going, well, this is the guy they got to run this offense. And truth be told, I'm not going to really react to the one drive as much as I'm going to react to the guy who called the plays on that drive. And I just think that with Lane Kiffin calling plays, if you've got a functional quarterback, that he's going to put up points. He got a lot out of Blake Sims at Alabama. Now, the supporting cast around Blake Sims is very good, but he doesn't need Joe Burrow. He doesn't need Cam Young. He just needs solid 4-star quarterback with a good enough arm and the ability to run his simplified offense. And I don't know how good Austin Simmons is at all, but I trust that he's good enough to run Lane Kiffin's offense. And so I think that Ole Miss will be a quality offensive team, and there'll be a challenge for LSU's defense. That's a September game. In September, LSU's defense in year 2 under Blake Baker, with all these transfer portal additions, will face Cade Klubnik in Clemson, DJ Lagway in Florida, and then Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss offense in September. That's a pretty good indicator of whether or not you've taken the necessary steps to be a national championship contender. If you have, you will win at least 2 of those games. If you have not, you will lose 2 or 3 of them, and we'll have a drastically different conversation. But essentially what Vegas is telling you with a 2.5-point point spread in Oxford is that LSU and Ole Miss is about a toss-up, which I think is probably pretty fair. The next game for LSU is Texas A&M in Baton Rouge, October 25th. Tigers are a 4.5-point favorite in that game. I'm excited, and I know I've boiled a lot of this down to quarterback play, but that's really what we know the most about, and it's pretty important. Marcel Reed is an interesting case because, yeah, he came in and ran the ball all over LSU. LSU wasn't ready for it. It was incredible, just running it down their throat. Read option, big plays, chunk plays, touchdowns, crowds going crazy. Shows up the next week in Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina is ready for it. A&M can't move the ball. Played against Texas on Kyle Field. Huge rivalry game. Return of the showdown on Thanksgiving weekend. A&M literally did not score a touchdown. As we sit here in June, I don't think Marcel Reed's very good. That's my take. Now, if they played that clip in College Station, you would hear a bajillion Aggies go, well, you didn't stop him. You didn't stop him. He million touchdowns. And that's true. But that defense was not ready for that. They said that after the game. And I think it was a lack of preparation and execution on LSU's part, stopping the run, more so than it was just a stellar quarterback coming in and making unbelievable plays. He was running the read option for 15 yards a pop. So I think LSU is better than Texas A&M. I think LSU should win the game in Tiger Stadium. And I think having it at a 4.5-point number is probably pretty fair. Now, that's basically saying the rosters are a toss-up. I'm still a little concerned about LSU's offensive line and the defense as a whole, kind of. But I think it's fair to say LSU win that game by 4.5. And if you made me take a side on that game today, I would lay the points with LSU. And then the last game is LSU at Alabama, November the 8th. Tied, 6.5-point favorites. Now, on November the 8th, there could be a fever pitch in Tuscaloosa around Kalen DeBoer. Like, it's fair to say that? If they lose 2 games before November the 8th, and have then lost 6 over the course of a year and a half, like, that town is going to be on fire. Because they're just not equipped to handle that. Their brains have been warped by 17 seasons of the greatest coach of all time. They think it has to look a certain way. They're learning that all of us have lived in this real world where you actually have to be interested in all the games and you could lose on a given week. They didn't know that that was the case. And they may know that that's the case come November. They may be riding a heater where Ty Simpson's slinging it around and Kalen DeBoer is the toast of Tuscaloosa. But that's game either way is going to be very difficult for LSU to go win because it's just very, very difficult to go win in Bryant-Denny. Now, it's been done. Texas went and did it. And LSU has had their great teams go in there and do it. But Vanderbilt beat Alabama in Nashville. Oklahoma beat Alabama in Norman. Like, still going into Bryant-Denny is a very difficult order. And that's a lot of points, almost a touchdown, with as well as LSU's quarterback figures to be. But he didn't play well against Alabama last year. So we'll see. I think that that's a lot of points for me at this point. And I think that obviously circumstances can change drastically between now and November the 8th. We'll know a lot more. But I thought those point spreads were interesting. I'm not chomping at the bit to get down on any of them right now. If you made me play one, I would probably play the LSU A&M game. I'd probably stay away from LSU Ole Miss, and I'd probably stay away from LSU Florida. But I like LSU against Texas A&M in Tiger Stadium at that number. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.